Today we're going to be talking a little bit about SolidWorks sheet metal functionality in regards to packaging. We're going to be creating a small box in this session that is able to be unfolded, flattened, and able to be cut. Now I've already started a part template, so we're just going to jump right off into this, and we're going to start on the top plane with a sketch. And I'm just going to use a rectangle to start. I'm going to create the bottom of my box first. I'm going to put this as a midpoint reference, a couple of dimensions here and there. This is going to be a 6x10 box. I'm going to use my sheet metal functionality now to create my base flange tab. In doing this, I have the option to create gauge tables or thickness tables, if you would, for each type of cardboard corrugation that you have. In this case, I'm just going to leave it at my default of 0.06. Click OK. And you can see there we just have the bottom of this box. Now we're going to be using the edge flange here a lot, and I'm just going to drag up the first flange here and click on the second one as well. And we're going to tell it that we basically want this box to be 6 inches tall. And we want to be able to control also the type of bends that you have in there. Now you can set these up and have them to be default, but it helps if you just go ahead and just set these up to where we have them all basically the same. So I've got mine 6 inches tall now, and with the bend on the outside, and I'm going to, the material on the outside, I'm going to click OK to accept it. Now at this point, I'm going to create a flap over the top of this with another edge flange. And I'm just going to drag it out a little bit and create my second one there. And I'm just going to use a little small 0.18 distance there. Let's make sure that these are out a little bit further. Click OK to accept it. Use my edge flange again to bring that pocket down. And here we're going to tell it that we want it to be, say, 5 3/4. And I'm going to select the other edge over here to do the same thing. So we've created a little flap there that we're going to be able to use to tuck our front and our back flaps into. So if I take a look at that, that looks good. Click OK to accept it. And at that point, I'm going to use another edge flange again to create the back of my box. And again, we're going to use the 5.75. And we want to make sure that this box, we have plenty of room here, so I'm going to leave it at that setting. Click OK to accept it. Use my edge flange here to put my flap inside my box. And we want that flap to be 2.75. Now you can go in there and edit these flaps if you'd like and cause them to taper or create shapes or pockets or tabs, if you would, to allow it to go in there. Now here we have an edge problem. You see that the flanges are actually overlapping, so it's just a simple change to go in and edit the feature and take a look at our flap location, material location, and readjust to move that flap on the inside. And I'll click OK to accept it. So now we have our flap on the inside of our part, or inside of that little pocket. Now we can go to our front now and do the same thing there, another edge flange. And we're going to take it up as well. And we'll just go ahead and leave it at 5.75. And make sure that we have the right bend there. And that looks good. And I'm going to click OK. Now, before I go any further while we're working on this thing, I'm going to create another sketch on this front flap. And I'm just going to put a little hole here, a little guide to help with the flap. and with a feature extruded cut, and we're just going to tell it to up to next and click OK. And we've got a little flap, our little thumb hole tab cut through that. Now using our sheet metal again, we're going to go into edge flange and again use the 2.75 dimension for each one of these flaps on both sides. And if we take a look, we see that we're also interfering, so we can go back and change that to the center. And I can click OK. Now, at any point in time when we're creating boxes like this or sheet metal like this, it's always a good thing to be able to flatten it and to be able to go in there and see what this thing is going to look like, what my shape is like already before I finish it up. And just that quickly I can go to a flattened state, but I can also click again and go right back to the folded state of my box. So the last thing we've got left to do here is to put a flap over the top. So we're going to do that now. And I'm just going to tell it, let's say 5.75. And let's try that one more time, 5.75. And as you can see, we need a little help there. So we're going to use our offset here. We're going to actually go above it and use the offset and tell it that that's where we want this flap to be. So I'm going to click OK to accept it. Okay, at this point we're going to create another edge flange here. I'm going to make this 2 inches from my flap. And I'm going to check and see how this thing's lining up. We want to do a little bit more with an offset, maybe at 0.1. Click OK. Let's edit our flange profile. And let's just offset this flange or this cap just a little bit inside. This gives you some idea of the functionality of sheet metal when you're dealing with packaging materials. You can also take this now at this point, of course, flatten this once more to get your flat pattern in all your bin lines. We can go in and take and unflatten it or mold it back in the shape that we know it. Now, if we wanted just to open up the top of the box, then all we have to do is go into our unfold feature, select the top face and the bend actually that's holding it in place, and tell it to unfold. And you can see there that the box is open, and you can close that box back just the same way that you just opened it by telling it to collect all bends and fold it back in place. So this gives you some idea of the functionality of sheet metal within SolidWorks used in the packaging industry.